Can you identify and name the seasons? Yes, correct. It's spring, summer, autumn, and winter. The passing of a year can bring a marked change in the weather and the surrounding environment. These four seasons can significantly bring changes in the world around them. Let's take an overview of these four separate seasons with help of lesson number 5, the 12 months. The story took place in a faraway country. There was a mother who lived with her two daughters. Among the two, one was her own daughter named Helena, and the other was a stepdaughter named Maraukla. What do you mean by stepdaughter? Stepdaughter means stepchild, means a child from another mother. So, the mother did not like Maraukla because she was more pretty and beautiful than her own daughter Helena. Maraukla was a gentle-hearted girl. She never understood why her mother was always cross with her. Gentle-hearted means kind-hearted. Cross means always angry. Maraukla's stepmother made her do all the household work at home, like cooking, washing, spinning. Maraukla did all the work without any complaint, whereas Helena spent her time adoring herself and lazing about. Adoring means make more beautiful or attractive. Helena and her mother never left any chance of scolding and ordering Maraukla. One day, they decided to get rid of Maraukla by throwing her out in the chilling cold. When we talk about winter season, we know it often brings a chill. Some areas may experience snow or ice, while others see only cold rain. People warm themselves by wearing warm woolen clothes and warming their hands. According to the wicked plan, Maraukla was forcefully thrown out of the house to bring violets in the snow. When Maraukla tried to request and explain about how difficult it is to get violets in the snow, they threatened her by saying, "If you don't bring, I'll kill you." They pushed her out of the house and slammed the door after her. Slammed. Slammed means shut forcefully and loudly. Poor Maraukla went into the forest, weeping bitterly. The snow piled up and there was no human footprint seen. Maraukla was very hungry. She trembled with cold and wondered for a long time. Wondered means move in an aimless way. After a long time, she saw the glow of a fire at a distance on the top of the mountain. When she reached, she saw a big fire was burning there, and round the fire were 12 stones with 12 men sitting on them. 3 were very old with snow-white beards. 3 were not so old, and the other 3 were still young and more handsome. Children, can you tell how many months are there in a year? So, these 12 men represented the 12 months. Among them, Great January was seated on a high seat with a club held in his hand. Maraukla was scared and frightened, but later she gathered strength and asked them, "Please, kind sirs, Let me warm my hands at your fire. Great January nodded and asked her, Why have you come here, my dear little girl? What are you looking for? She answered, I am looking for violets. This is no time to be looking for violets, for everything is covered with snow, answered Great January. Violets, a purple blue color flower with 5 petals and glossy leaves. Maraukla explained that if she does not bring violets, her sister and stepmother would kill her. She requested Great January to help her. Great January gave the club to the younger month, which was March, and told him to take a high seat. March waved the club over the fire, and the fire blazed up, and snow began to melt. The trees began to bud, and the ground was at once covered with grass. It was springtime. In the spring, seeds take root and vegetation begin to grow. The weather is warmer and often wetter. Maraukla could see the blossom of violet among the little leaves. It looked like a blue cloth spread out on the ground. March commanded her to pick them. She picked them, thanked the months, and joyfully scampered home with a big bunch of flowers. Scampered means moved quickly home with excitement. Stepmother and her sister Helena were surprised to see her with a bunch of flowers, and scent of the violets filled all the cottage. Helena asked sulkily, Where did you get them? Sulkily means unhappily. She told that they are growing on the high mountains in the forest under the bushes. Helena snatched all the flowers without giving a single flower to her sister. Now next time they demanded some strawberries. When do strawberries grow? Yes, in the month of June. Again Maraukla tried to request and explain, but again they threatened her to be killed and pushed her out of the house and slammed the door. Again she wandered, trembling with cold and hunger. There were no humans around. At last, she saw the light she had seen a day before. Overjoyed, she went to the top of the mountain. Again she took permission to warm her hands. Great January inquired the reason for coming back to them. She told about the demand of strawberries from her stepmother and her sister, and if she does not bring, they will surely kill her. Great January understood and gave the club to the month sitting opposite to him. It was June. June took the high seat and swung the club over the fire. Again the fire shot up, and its heat melted the snow. It was summertime. The birds began to sing. The forest was filled with all kinds of flowers and green leaves. Soon the ground under the bushes was covered with white starlets, which were turning into strawberries every minute and ripe at once. It just looked like a red carpet on the ground. June commanded her to pick them at once. She joyfully picked and filled her apron and ran home merrily. Stepmother and her sister Helena were again surprised to see her apron full of strawberries. Helena inquired, Where did you pick them? Maraukla told she found them growing in the forest on the high mountains. Helena grabbed all of them and ate it along with her mother without giving a single one to Maraukla. On the third day, they again sent her out forcefully to bring some red apples. Maraukla went out weeping bitterly, but this time she directly went to the top of the mountain without wandering anywhere else. Great January again asked the reason as to why Maraukla had come again. She said that this time they demanded red apples. Great January gave the club to the older month, that is, September. Month September stood and swung the club over the fire. Fire began to burn, snow began to melt. It was autumn season, where plants began to grow dormant. There was just one apple tree with red apples hanging on the branches. "Shake the tree at once," commanded September. Maraukla shook the tree. 2 apples fell down. "That's enough," said the months. Maraukla obeyed, thanked, and ran home happily. When Helena and her stepmother saw only 2 apples, they thought Maraukla had eaten some of the apples on the way. They cursed her to be struck to death by lightning. The taste of the apples tempted them to have more. So they dressed themselves with fur coat and went out wandering for a long time. They found a big fire and the 12 months on the top of the mountain. Without taking permission or speaking a polite word, they stretched their hands to warm them. When Great January asked and inquired, they both replied very rudely, which made Great January very angry, and hence he swung the club over his head. The sky grew dark, the fire burnt low, snow fell in huge masses. Helena and her stepmother could not see the way home and soon got lost in it. Maraukla waited and waited for them to come back. She even went in search of them but failed to search Helena and her stepmother. She did not even find the 12 months anywhere in the forest. Finally, Maraukla inherited the cottage and got married to a kind, handsome husband, and both lived happily ever after. So, what do you learn from this lesson? It teaches us that greediness will lose everything.